Punchline with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez.
Pavlik rips into him with a huge left hand to the pelvis.
The Punchline.
Boxing's most interesting podcast.
Kelly Pavlik relentless when he got Hernandez.
In the middleweight division.
You're here on the Punchline with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez, and today we got a very interesting guest. We got Caryn Tate, who is a professional writer and also has done interviews with professional fighters, just not professional fighters, but world champions. I've seen Andre Ward, Sean Porter, and a handful of other ones. But we're interested because we heard through the grapevine that she is very knowledgeable in the sport of boxing.
That's what I heard.
Oh, that's high praise indeed. Thank you.
I'm more impressed at your fact that you're a cowgirl, actually. A real cowgirl. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I grew up on ranches my entire childhood and everything. My dad and his family were classic cowboys and everything, so they were very traditional. It's a real line of cowboys and cowgirls, so I came from all of that and grew up riding horses and doing all that stuff as a kid, and it really kind of shaped my writing, actually. And
wow.
As I think you saw in my bio, I in addition to boxing writing, I've written a comic book called Red Plains.
I was just gonna get to that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was really, it came from, my love of the West and the way I grew up and everything, and a lot of the stereotypes that people have about the West and cowboys and stuff. And there were a lot of things I saw growing up, like in movies and stuff, that it rubbed me the wrong way, because I was like, that's not how it is, or that's not accurate, and so I always wanted to, kind of write that in my own mind, and so that's how Red Plains got started.
It's not
but
as easy as people think. I know that. My dad grew up on a cattle ranch, New Mexico.
You know, a little fact that somebody did not know about me?
What?
Was the fact that I almost got involved with horses, show horses, like, what is that, quarter horses, and into that business.
Awesome.
Of saddles, like they were, making the saddles for the shows, and which means that I would have probably had to go to shows and stuff like that. But there's big money in the saddles, the saddle business.
Oh yeah,
I was amazed how much.
So where did you grow up, Caryn?
I kind of grew up all around in the West. I was born in Colorado, but I moved a lot because my dad worked on cattle ranches, and that kind of work can be very nomadic, especially in modern day.
Very seasonal, huh?
Yeah, seasonal, and it's not steady. There's a lot of change and all happening in that part of the world and in that work. So I moved around a lot, but kind of lived in the majority of states in the West, actually. But,
that's like I said, my dad grew up the whole family are cattle ranchers themselves in New Mexico area, like Bayard.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I do know what it's like. I mean, I didn't grow up too much near it, but I still see the 150-year-old branding iron. My dad still has that and all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I see you write children's books too.
Yeah, so I've kind of been all over the place as a writer, but children's books, and then that was actually my first published work was a children's book, and then I started doing Red Plains, which I created and wrote and did that with different artists, which was really fun and awesome experience. And I'm working actually on a novel now that's a Red Plains novel that takes place in that world, so that's exciting to me too.
Are they current times or back in the 1800s? Are you doing it West time?
No, they're back in the 1800s. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It basically takes place in like the 1880s.
How could we access some of those books and the comic books? How could we do that?
Yeah, they're available on digital platforms like iTunes and the Barnes & Noble Nook store.
Amazon too?
Actually, not on Amazon at the moment, but I'm working on that.
I'll definitely want to get one.
Yeah, and the first issue of the different Red Plains storylines I actually make them free. So like you can kind of jump in and see how you like it before you continue with the rest of the story. So it's something that I try to do to make it easy for people to jump in, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely look at that. I love those kind of stories. So
cool. Yeah, let me know what you think.
I will for sure. And also, let's talk about the fights this weekend.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Spence and Brooke?
I think that is just an awesome, awesome fight. I'm super excited about it. I mean, I think it's one of those fights that I think is hard to call because both fighters are just so good. And, you know, I think there's a lot we don't know yet about Spence. You know, he's been in some great fights and he's fought really good competition, but he hasn't quite been at the world level yet, at the very top level.
He just hasn't taken that next step yet.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm really curious to see how he does tomorrow against Brooke, because I think it'll just be very telling whatever happens, you know, what kind of fighter he is. And he looks like the real deal for sure, in my opinion. And, you know, and Brooke is a great champion. I mean, he's done great things. And the way that he beat Sean Porter, I thought was really impressive, because I thought that the key to his winning that fight was all about interrupting Sean's momentum. And I think that's incredibly hard to do against somebody like Porter. So I thought that was really impressive. So I just think it's a super great fight. I'm really excited to see how it goes. But Kelly, I had to tell you, it's just such an honor to be on here and talking with you. I think I'm a huge fan of you as a fighter, and it's just so cool to me to get to be on here and talk with you about boxing. That's kind of mind-blowing to me.
Caryn. I really do. I mean, that's and you know, for me, it's an honor to have you on too, because you know, to be able to talk with somebody and share somebody's, you know, things that are going on, and you're very talented from what I'm seeing.
Thank you.
And I'm very impressed about the boxing part.
Yeah,
Well,
Amy had
you.
nothing but good things to say about you. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, again, Caryn, thank you for, you know, kind words. But yeah, you know, that, like what you said too. Now this is where I'm not just saying it because you're on the air with us, but everything you said about the Kell Brooke and Earl Spence fight, I agree with too. Kind of the same thing. I think I told a lot of people that think Spence is going to win the fight easily. I said I don't know where they're getting that at. I actually, me personally,
It's a gut feeling, Kelly.
Huh?
It's a gut feeling.
Yeah, I think Kell Brooke, I favor him in the fight.
Okay.
You know, my thing was we don't know, even though he didn't get beat up by Triple G, but you know, he had that broken orbital, and sometimes in the head, how that's going to play in a factor due to the fact that Spence, you know, could punch a little bit. But I see it being an entertaining fight and a great fight. You know,
Definitely.
I don't know. I'm going to go out. I'm going on a limb, and I'm going to say that Spence stops Brooke in 5 rounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
Talent tells.
It's one of those things where, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised however this fight ends.
No.
Like, to be honest, and that's crazy because there aren't too many fights where I feel that way, but I feel like it really could kind of go any way. I wouldn't be stunned.
Exactly. And I think the true winners of this fight are the fans anyway for getting this fight. You know,
Yeah.
for getting to see it. But I have not seen somebody that's been that dedicated to the body in a long time like Errol Spence is. Spence loves body work and is efficient. And that's
a good point.
And that's scary for Brooke, because Brooke does not like getting hit to the body.
Yeah.
Every time that Triple G hit him, he curled up in that fight. Do you remember?
Yeah, but that was also a middleweight.
It was the weight.
Yeah.
But
true.
Power is power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either you got it or you don't. So I'm looking at. I don't know. I'm probably 99.9% wrong on this, but I'm thinking it goes no longer than 5th.
Wow. Yeah, you might be right.
Maybe.
The thing, you have a point too about the body work, because I was thinking, you know, that might really play in because it's no real secret that Brooke's having a hard time making welterweight, so that might really play in.
Yeah, but you know, and Brooke looks amazing though. Did you see his open workout?
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
does.
God, he
look
looked amazing. And Errol Spence looks like Errol Spence. He's always in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big thing for this fight is more so, I think that it's just great for boxing, and I think that it's exciting because, like what we talked about earlier, James, how filled the crowd of fighters are at welterweight, and just not fighters, but like the A-level fighters and how good the fighters are. And it's going to be exciting to see how this all breaks down in time, and I don't think promoters could really come in and screw it up because these guys are all at the same weight class at the same time, and they all kind of have no choice but to fight each other. As far as Thurman, Porter, Spence, Brooke, and then the Cholo brother, what is it?
Charlos.
Charlos brothers.
The Cholo brothers will be in Roger.
Yeah. So.
The Cholo. Is it Cholo brothers?
Yeah. Cholos, man.
You said Cholo brothers.
I am a Cholo. No. I can never pronounce their name.
The Charlo brother. Charlo. But you said the Cholo brothers. Like, that's me and Roger.
You know what?
Caryn heard you say Cholo brothers too.
That's funny. Cholos.
You know what? With the Charlo brothers, I have not been that impressed.
Yeah, well, the one Cholo moved up to middleweight. So.
Jamal.
We're gonna ruin Caryn's interviews with the Cholo brothers. She's not gonna interview them because of this show.
Like those damn Cholos.
Nah, I think they'll understand. We're just having fun.
So, Caryn, who were some of your favorite interviews that you've done with people? Who were they? What fighters were just your favorite? Who stood out?
Oh man, it's really hard for me to pick one. I've had several, to be honest. Probably the ones that stand out most to me, at least at the moment, are Sergio Martinez. I had one with him a couple years ago. Sean Porter, Guillermo Rigondeaux. I had one with him really recently. It's just I love talking to fighters, and I love talking to fighters at all levels. Because I feel like I've also talked with some up and coming younger fighters that aren't as well known yet, and that's awesome to me because it's so great to kind of get to know them as getting to know fighters no matter where they're at in their career. I think that's just fascinating to talk with them about their techniques and how they do what they do and how they view boxing in general and everything, and seeing the difference as they get older and kind of get more at the top level. It's so fun to me, and I love getting to ask them stuff that hopefully they don't get asked all the time, and just getting to know them more as people. I think that's important.
Well, I think a lot of media they tend to ignore these younger fighters now, and they go after them when they get 20, 30 fights in. You know what I mean? And then they want to act like they weren't ignored at all. And what's good for you and reporters who do this, I think. You're building a relationship early with them, and they're open to interview with you and talk with you.
Definitely,
and
yeah.
I've seen that before. I've seen certain reporters. I'm not gonna throw names out there but they ignore these fighters and really treat them like shit. And then all of a sudden, the kid wins a minor title, and they want to interview him, and then they don't want to interview with them anymore. The kid doesn't want to interview because they remember.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think. It's one of those things I feel really, really strongly about as a boxing writer, and I hope that it comes through in my work, but I feel really strongly about treating all fighters with respect, regardless of what level they're at, or something else I think sometimes happens is, somebody's a fighter's style may not be certain people's favorite, and they talk about them in a more condescending way, and I feel like, it really shouldn't be about my personal view of your style or whatever. It's really just about you as a fighter. And I think it's important for fans to get to know who the fighters are as people, where they're coming from, what their thoughts are on certain things and why they fight the way they do, what they more accurately, I love to talk more about the technique and the skills.
See,
and,
that's what I love.
Hey, Caryn, on that right there being said, knowing that you write and publish books, I just actually got off the phone with a guy who was a writer, a big writer, actually worked for New York Times for a while. He was doing, he wanted to do an interview on the 10-year anniversary of my title fight with Jermaine Taylor. His name's Thomas Hauser.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did that one on Muhammad Ali. Did you ever think about maybe like somewhere along the line? I know that he used to go to fights and he would actually go in the locker room and take down notes and from different guys. He was in my locker room probably 3 or 4 times.
Right.
And, and he would actually, a couple of them, he wrote books out of, Is that something that, as far as like in a boxing part of it, eventually ever doing, like maybe finding like one certain fighter or, a fighter that grabs your attention, kind of like behind the scenes and the career of, things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Oh, well, maybe one day we'll talk. Yeah, I was just, wondering because I see some like Thomas Hauser, he was a big writer for, New York Times and stuff like that. And he eventually moved on. He wrote that book, with Muhammad Ali and kind of just left a very good job, I guess, to say, and kind of took the chance of going on his own and doing his own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a very good writer. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And I think there's just a real need in sports in general. I think it's rare that you see much more from the athlete's perspective, and in particular in boxing, because I think it's just a bit more of a niche sport these days than it used to be. But you just, you don't often get to see how the fighters think about things, and I think it speaks to me, and I love boxing as a martial art. I think it's a fascinating sport, and it's a beautiful sport. And I want to know more, and I think a lot of fans want to know more about, how do fighters do certain things and certain techniques, and how are you able to accomplish certain things? And so in my writing, I try to focus more on, the fighters and their perspectives, and also, the skills and the skill sets they need to do what they do. And, yeah.
That's awesome. So, who are some of your favorite writers? I mean, who do you kind of base yourself off, like, more of a kind of inspiration?
Yeah. It's a good question. I have lots and lots of, inspiring, writers that I look up to and that I read, but if I had to pick a few, and it's kind of a wide variety because I read a lot of different stuff, but probably my favorite writer is Cormac McCarthy. And then I love writers like David Simon, who, created The Wire, the show on HBO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those are a couple that come to mind right away, but I have quite a few, writers that I look up to, but yeah, Cormac McCarthy to me really jumps out because it's when I read his work, it's just like he has such a mastery of language and of using words in a really different way, and it really just grabs you on an emotional level. It's great.
Yeah. Going on that question, that's something. As being a writer, though, do you find yourself reading a lot more to kind of get ideas, or do you kind of get tired of the reading and just do your own writing?
No, I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, you certainly can't be a writer if you're not writing yourself, but I do read a lot, and maybe not so much for ideas, but more for just making sure that I'm really honing my craft and thinking about different ways of approaching the craft. And so I try to just read as many different kinds of writers and subjects and all that I can, and just I try to kind of get inspired by the stuff that's great, and stuff that I think could use some work. I take that in as well and think about what could I do differently there, and that sort of thing. Why didn't that work as well? But yeah, at a certain point, you have to start writing yourself, and so there's, I think, a little bit of both for sure.
True. That is. So what we're trying to do, I mean, what me and Kelly have been working on, and what Amy, we've been trying to court Caryn into coming on our show maybe once a month with her own segment, maybe. So I
would love that.
That's what we really would like, is to bring you on maybe once a month, and you have your own segment. You can talk whatever you want, and we'll just listen, take your opinion and argue with you, and that's what we really want to do.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, I would love that. And I have to add to that, I'm talking with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez here, so you have to jump in and tell me what you think too. I'm not.
Oh no, we will.
Yes.
Okay, good.
we actually, and I actually have a defense mechanism. If we don't agree with you, we'll say, she's just a woman. What does she know?
That'll go over real good. The sad thing is, she probably knows a lot more than we do.
She does. I can tell she knows more than we do.
So far in her field, she's interviewed more champs than we have.
It's true.
and I actually count as one on her resume now.
Yeah, you're working against the system.
Yeah.
But what we were looking for is we just wanted somebody to come in, have their own segment, and we wanted a woman's voice. Because I think I think in boxing, I think what we're missing a lot is a woman's voice.
I totally agree.
And I think we need to start pushing that for other fans. Boxing's it's not a sport for men. It's not a sport for women. It's a sport for everybody.
Yeah, we had that conversation with Dan Wolf, and I still firmly believe, Ann made some good points, but I still firmly believe that you have to get more of a attraction in a women boxing, other than just one fighter every 10 years that somebody, grabs onto, and start getting these gyms filled with more, females boxing and putting on more shows where they're boxing. So when you get the crowds at the fights and you get some young girls between the ages of 10 and 15 that they say, wow, you know what, that's what I want to do. And that's how you slowly start building up. Yeah. It all starts in each city, each state of putting on shows and having that involved in there.
It's true. I mean, look at the way women boxing had evolved. In the 90s, when we first started hearing about it, nobody cared. I mean, they're like, oh man, these women can't fight. But now look at nowadays girls like Katie Taylor and Esparza. Those girls can fight. They're just as good as any of these males out here. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And, just to throw another name in there, I'm a huge fan of Layla McCarter, and she's been doing this for years and years. Yeah. And I had the honor to interview her recently, and we had some great conversations about women's boxing. And I feel like she's someone that, she just recently got picked up by Mayweather Promotions, and that's really exciting to me because I'm hoping that means that we'll get to see her more on TV. And she's, as you guys probably know, she's just a phenomenal technician and, a fantastic fighter. And I feel like the more female fighters we have on TV like that who are just great fighters, it's going to be awesome for this sport.
Exactly. I mean, sorry, James.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And being on TV obviously is another big step. Even if it's not eye-catching to the male boxing people, you're still going to have, people seeing that it's on TV and it's kind of a motivation. But at the same time, I still also think on the local scene, local gyms is kind of starting to put a little more time in to bring them in. There's a gym here that a guy who I like very much as a trainer, and he's a very nice guy. I mean, he has 3 girls right now boxing at his gym, and they train just like anybody else in there. They're dedicated to it. They love it, and they train harder than the guys do. And that right there is a building block.
Well, I trained. I've been a trainer for off and on for about 12 years, and I would get women coming in, and the differences between a man and a woman is a whole ego difference. I'd have a male come in, never boxed, and first thing we ask him, have you ever done this before? First thing a male would say is, no, but I'm 72 wins and no losses in the street. Yeah. Right away, I'm like, all right, here we go. You bring a woman, it's true. It is true, and you bring a woman in, and a woman, you ask her, have you ever done this before? She said, absolutely not. And she said, I'm here to do what you tell me to do. I'm basically putty in your hands. And that was what we wanted to hear. There is no ego involved. There is no pretentiousness. It's just them wanting to learn. And they were so much easier to teach because they didn't have that ego. They didn't want to challenge you, Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it made it a lot easier. But, so, I mean, it's boxing in a nutshell. It's going to take some people time to adapt. It's going to take some people's had 20 years, they still haven't adapted. They probably never will. But
Yeah.
right now, I think we're at a time where this sport is actually not dying; it's getting stronger. I think it's getting better. And people keep saying boxing's dying, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
I think
I
the big part of it is getting the heavyweight division back, which I slowly think
It's coming.
You know, I was kind of not
Yeah.
wanting to see this Klitschko-Joshua fight. I thought Klitschko was, you know, has been done for quite some time now, and it was actually a good fight for the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm
That was
glad
a great
Joshua
fight.
won because he's younger and he's going to be around, and that he won the way he did. So now it makes it interesting again too in the heavyweight division, even though it's not fully stacked with anybody, but you still got a couple names in there that keeps everybody interested. So
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the thing with the heavyweight division is they're good, but they're flawed, and that makes it for exciting fights when you have somebody just flawed enough that they can lose any time. You know what I mean? It's not like
Totally.
the days of Tyson or the days of Lennox Lewis where they weren't flawed. You knew they were going to hold a title or younger Klitschko even. You knew they were going to hold a title for a long time. Now they're just good enough to get knocked out at any point. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of upheaval in that heavyweight division.
That's true. It's very suspenseful.
Exactly. It's like the welterweight division nowadays.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, the welterweight division is just on fire. And, you know, like what Kelly was saying earlier about you got all these great fighters, and it's kind of at the stage where it's like, yeah, when these guys fight each other, you really don't know what's going to happen, and that's always exciting.
Oh yeah, and it's true. I mean, you just don't know. But
Yeah.
I really am excited. I'm honored that you came on the show, Caryn, and
Thank you. It's a pleasure, really.
and we want to get you on the show. We want you to have your own segment. We would love it. And if you could
I would love it too.
If you could make time for us, we would love it. So
Karen, will you accept my friend
Absolutely.
request on Facebook too?
tell them no. Tell them no.
Did you ask me if I would accept your friend request? Let me think about that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll accept it.
Okay.
Karen, that's basically a marriage proposal from Kelly.
No, it ain't.
He said, "Will you accept my friend request?"
Absolutely.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about.
That is actually dating in the new.
No, James.
In the new,
See, you're
new
on
time period.
Facebook almost 23 hours a day.
No, I am not.
I'm not. I get on Facebook at night when I finally sit
Oh,
down.
the truth comes out.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So it was more of a marriage. Like, you're the type that will like know what everybody's doing at every minute through their Facebook.
But you know what? With Facebook, I'm usually updating my own mess. On
Why did you check in at LA Fitness Club? Why did you go at 5 o'clock?
Are you serious? Yeah, but it was great talking to you. We hope you come on more often and you have your own show on here. That's what we really want. So
Yeah, I absolutely would love to do that, and I appreciate you even offering it to me. That's such an honor.
that'd
Thank
be
you.
great. And you have your people call our people, and we'll get it done.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
that sounds
people.
good, Karen. Yeah, definitely. Again, it's been a joy to have you on, and we'll be talking soon. So
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you both. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Have a good
All
day.
right, talk to you soon.
All right, yes, ma'am.
All right, bye.